So are you one of those golfers who hits the ball great from tee down towards the green, but when you get just off the edge of the green, that's when the nerves kick in? Well, if so, today's Friday Fix, I'm going to show you how to really master your chipping and hit some great shots around the green. Okay, so most golfers that struggle around the green, for me, they're actually getting the technique wrong and the understanding of how they're going to, one, use the correct club, but then actually deliver the club into the golf ball. So some of the common mistakes that I would see with golfers is that they set up to the golf ball and they put the ball kind of opposite the back foot, kind of get lots and lots of shaft lean, and then really want to hold on to that angle as long as possible. And they feel from doing that they're going to get the club hitting down onto the golf ball, nip it, maybe get that nice one that goes in a little bit lower and checks, and they've got the 60-degree wedge in the hand. And like we saw at the start, there can be some interesting results. You might use stronger words than interesting, but for me, all they're doing with that setup is meaning that even if they strike it great like I've done there, it's incredibly difficult to actually control where you're going to land the ball and how the ball is going to react. So the first thing we need to understand is how you're going to use your golf club correctly. And if we look at the club, we can see the leading edge and we can see the sole of the club, and very much how that trail edge is lower than the leading edge. And that's called the bounce of the club. Now, if you use the club correctly, the bounce of the club is going to stop the club digging into the ground. So if you're somebody who uses your lob wedge, what I want you to consider is that when you set yourself up, if the shaft were straight up, there would be some bounce on that club, which would help you and stop the club digging. But what we tend to see is as we move the handle forward and excessively, it takes all the bounce off and that leading edge becomes very, very sharp. So as long as your strike is absolutely perfect, you will still hit some good shots, believe it or not. But if you catch the ground a little bit early, the ball goes a foot in front of you like we saw, and if you kind of get the ball first, we can knife it across the green. And I'm not sure which of the two is actually worse. Probably the one that you hit a foot, because you've got the exact same shot again. So I'm going to ask you, if you're somebody who plays with 60 degrees around the green, to just change club. And for this particular shot, I'm going to go to my pitching wedge, which is quite a bit less loft, 47 degrees. But we're actually going to set up in a way where we're going to add a little bit of bounce to the club. And I'm going to show you from setup now how by using this, it's almost impossible to take a divot. Okay, so what we're going to do is set up square with the ball position in the middle. But once we're set up, I'm actually going to just open the club face a little bit. So the club will now point right of target. And as a result of that, I'm just going to open my stance very slightly. Now, as soon as we open that club, we can see there's a little bit more bounce there. So ball in the middle, open club face, open stance. We're going to then move the pressure onto our lead side. And I want you to just make a few little swings. And I don't want too much shaft lean. And I want you to try and get back to not much shaft lean. And you can see, even though I'm cutting the grass, there's no divots there. So that's great. The club's interacting well with the ground, and we're going to strike the ball crisply. So I've got a nice tight lie, set up as discussed, pressure left, nipped it beautifully, and that's just rolled down next to the flag. So like I said, we're just doing this initially with the pitching wedge. You can do it with lots of different clubs, but by adding that little bit of loft and adding some bounce, it means even if you make contact with the ground a little bit early, the club's going to kind of slide along the floor and collect the ball rather than dig. So again, we're in, weight left, nipped it great. That one's just run on a fraction more than I wanted, but hopefully you could hear that contact there, lovely and crisp. And once you start getting a little bit of confidence with this, if you then want to fly the ball in a little bit higher, by all means go back to your 60 degree. But the same concept, we're going to open that club face a little bit, move the stance round to the left, Pressure left, so get that sternum more over that lead foot. Keep it there and return that very neutral shaft. And even though I didn't get all of that, that one still rolled down to a couple of feet. Anyone that's hit that one that goes a foot was a bit of a shin breaker on the far side of the green. If you hit one a little heavy like that that goes down to 2 foot, that will be an absolute game changer for you. So let's go one last one. There's no holes on the green just at the moment in England, just opened up golf, but I've set myself up. I'm now going to use that bounce of the club. Weight left, stay left. That was absolutely pure, and that is as good as it gets. So guys, hope you've enjoyed those tips. Like I said, another episode of Friday Fixes. If you're a poor chipper of the golf ball, let's try something new, but let's not chop and change. So we're going to make sure we open the club face a bit to add a little bit of bounce, move your stance round to allow that to aim a little bit more towards target. It doesn't have to be straight at target, it can still be slightly right. Pressure forward, that's going to get that low point a little bit more in front of the golf ball, and we're going to stop getting lots and lots of shaft lean. Don't want that leading edge digging. We want to use the sole of the club, and if you can do that, as you can see there, bruising the turf but not taking a divot. So guys, hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, like it and share it, comment below and I'll get back to as many people as I can. If you enjoyed today's video and don't currently subscribe, I'd love you to hit the button below, ring the notification bell, and then you'll find out whenever I drop a new video. Follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here soon. Stay in contact.